What's poppin', guys? Today we just wanted to sit down and get into the nitty-gritty of the cost details.
This is what we spent, and the purpose of making this video is really just to show you a realistic idea, give you a realistic idea of what you might spend in Mexico.
We just spent 6 weeks in Mexico, as you might know. It was our first time to a foreign country other than Canada in the van. I had spent some time in foreign countries. I knew a little bit about like maybe what to expect cost-wise. Aubrey had only been to places like Iceland and Canada.
That was pretty boring. Now I'm less boring because I've been to Mexico.
And we kind of had a feeling that there were going to be some things, like say the insurance or whatever, that would be particularly expensive and some things that would be particularly cheap. We wanted to fill you guys in on exactly what we paid. I don't know, these videos are always interesting to do because I'm 100% positive plenty of people are going to tell us how much else we could have spent. So we just want to clarify, this is what we spent over 6 weeks in Mexico. You don't have to spend this. You could spend way more, you spend way less, so we don't care at all.
Yeah.
I hope this is helpful content, but don't take this as we're instructing you on how to spend your money. Is that a good preface?
I think that's a good discussion.
Most developing countries are much more cash-based, as you guys might know. So it's, we didn't track every single expense. So this isn't like the most down to the dollar breakdown. I mean, we know basically down to the dollar what we spent, but how that breaks down is a little bit rougher because we were mostly just withdrawing pesos from ATMs. It didn't matter if we had American cards or Mexican cards, right? Like there weren't a whole lot of places where you could use your card, especially if you were going to local places to eat or to get water or whatever you're doing, right? It was mostly with cash. First things first, we might have already talked about this, but just to reiterate it here, half to a third of our costs, I'm not even going to get into this, my percentage there. A good portion of our cost just came from Upfront Insurances.
Yeah.
For us, and I think for anyone, I don't know, I'm hesitant to say this, but like, it's your home you're traveling there with, right? So in my opinion, it is not worth risking your home for just a few $100s in insurance. We went with Sanborn's insurance for $500. It wasn't just liability, it covered our car up to like $60,000. It was really comprehensive, had roadside assistance, all this kind of stuff. Eamon and Beck went with Baja Bound. But the cool thing is we didn't really, at the end of the day, we didn't really need the insurance too badly. Eamon and Beck, on the other hand, clearly desperately needed the insurance, right? So
they needed it for roadside assistance and would have been spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars in towing costs if they hadn't had that insurance.
It could be us next time instead of them, right? And that was just a good reminder of, for anyone who would ever say like insurance is a waste of money, we didn't need it this time too badly, but they desperately needed it and they're saving a ton of money. We spent $500 on our car. We spent an additional $500 on health insurance.
It was traveler's insurance.
Traveler's insurance.
So it included health insurance and emergency evacuation insurance and insurance for up to $3,000 per person of stolen items, which was hugely important because we have our equipment with us, so computers and camera equipment and stuff like that. So we went with World Nomads for traveler's insurance. It's hard because I can't really tell you how the customer service was with both of these companies because we never really had to tap into it, which is really nice. That's a perk.
It's good news.
But World Nomads did seem like the best package for U.S. citizens. If you're not a U.S. citizen, you can probably get way better traveler's insurance.
What? It's such a pain. Maybe it's
we
because our
have really
healthcare
bad
is brutal.
insurance, traveler's insurance
I don't know.
options. Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, we spent $1,000 pre-trip just on that, right? As soon as we got into the country, the first thing we spent on was our car permit. It was $440, but $400 of that was a deposit that you got back when you left the country.
So I think it was just like in making sure that you actually leave the country.
Right. So we had 180 days on our traveler's visa, which we literally just filled out right there. And then we had, how many days was it on our car? Was it 90 or 180?
I think it was the same.
It was the same probably. But we had 180 days. If we didn't come and turn it back in, we lose the $400, right? Of course we did. We got the $400 back. But expect that because Eamon and Beck didn't their cards weren't working for some reason and they had to scrounge together $400 in cash, which was kind of crazy, right? So just expect that going in. It's not going to be a big hit to your wallet, but it will be a deposit.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're about $1,000 in at this point, and over the 6 weeks, we withdrew from ATMs 6 times. So once a week. The total spent was $1,700. That was what was withdrawn from ATMs. And I looked through our card records and I literally bet we spent $10 on our card.
Yeah,
or
it wasn't
$15.
much.
Here's how that broke down. Okay, so we've got again $500 travelers, $500 car, 1737.66 if you want to know to the penny how much we withdrew. Almost half of that was just diesel costs. We drove about 3,000 miles, and again we only used cash because usually they will only take cash at these diesel stations. It was about $800 went to diesel.
Which is a lot.
It's a lot.
It was more than we expected for sure, because like that, I don't think it was really much different than diesel in the States.
Right.
In fact, it might have been a little more expensive.
It was more. It was much more. It cost us about $100 for a full fill, maybe 80. But usually we would wait till it was halfway down because we just don't really know where the Pemex stations are going to be. When you're by a major city, you're good. We went through the mountains in Oaxaca and we'd go 6 hours without seeing it. A legit diesel station. So we would fill up pretty much whenever we got to the halfway point. So that was about $50 once we got to the halfway point. $800 went to diesel. The other major cost was tolls. We had a couple of $100s on tolls.
Yeah.
And again, we didn't keep every single toll because there were just so many. Some of them were just $1, $5, $6. Some of them were $20. Some of them would get up, I mean, they weren't much more than 20 or 30, but some of them were crazy expensive.
Were really expensive. Yeah.
Some of them were insane.
Especially in northern Mexico, and then there was one toll between Puebla and Querétaro that basically you didn't have to go through a bunch of tolls, so you had this long stretch of road, and then you would have this massive toll at the end.
We were surprised when we first got into the country because by Monterrey, there's really, really expensive tolls. We're talking about maybe like 200 pesos per toll, which is about $10.
Yeah.
And then in the stretch over Mexico City, you're talking about almost 400 pesos for that toll, which is like $20. The tolls rack up badly because usually you're making the decision, do I want to drive on the, am I going to butcher, Libre or the Quota? I'm totally mispronouncing the second one, I think. But
no, it's Quota.
The Libre is the free road, and it has, usually it's one lane, a lot of potholes, a lot of cars, like one hugging the side, other cars, but it's like crazy. You don't want to drive at night. So sometimes we would definitely drive that when we were in an area to get to know the area. If we were going from point A to point B, you've got to go to tolls. And that was just, it added up for sure.
Yeah.
It's about $700, maybe more like $100 a week that we spent. Horrible timing, bud. Wow. Well.
Filming in neighborhoods.
Classic. We're about to roll out of this neighborhood, but we just had a neighbor start ripping his mower, so sorry about that. About 100 per week was just normal spending. A lot of that went to food, and a lot of it went to just like activities we were doing. We didn't spend a ton of money on activities, but definitely money here or there.
Or like sometimes we paid for parking, or like parking overnight, things like that.
Right.
So.
What else? Can you think of any other major expenses that we had?
No, it was like really, we just spent it on groceries and food. And I mean, you guys saw in some of our videos, we'd go to fruterias and we'd walk out with a massive bag of fruit and vegetables for like
$5,
160
$10.
pesos.
Yeah, it's insane.
So food really didn't cost that much at all, and it was amazing.
Right.
Even like the expensive restaurants, we'd go in there and it would be like we'd leave having spent, I don't know, like 70 pesos.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh my gosh, 70 pesos, what are you doing to us?
So the big takeaway, if you're going to be traveling to Mexico, is if you take, and I think this must go for especially any like developing country where it's very cheap to be there in one place, is if you're staying still or going very slowly, it is so cheap to live there.
Yeah.
So cheap. If you're cooking your own meals, it's just wicked cheap.
Especially if you have your home with you like we did.
Yeah. If you're moving around, it adds up for sure.
Yeah.
Moving around is what is expensive. The diesel just gutted us. Everything else was totally fine. I think that we spent about as much as I thought. Much more on the fuel and the movement and the tolls, and much less on the food and the experiences and things.
Yeah, I would say for anyone who's interested in traveling to Mexico who maybe isn't a van lifer, I would absolutely recommend it. And especially if you're in the U.S., it's so cheap to fly to Mexico City. You can get a bus for 300 pesos essentially to anywhere in the country. I'm not even joking. Right. So I would recommend definitely travel there. You can find really affordable accommodations, really affordable food, and actually really affordable ways to get there. So
you can find an Airbnb for $30 a night.
Exactly.
Fly for $100. Bus for 300 pesos is about $15 anywhere in the country. I mean, you could really do it cheap if you wanted to.
Yeah. So think about it, guys. I think it would be awesome if we had more people traveling to Mexico
That's
from
true.
our country.
Let's do it. Let's get
Yeah.
some freaking Americans there, dude. Everyone's
Yeah.
Canadian or Aussie or something else, man.
We barely
know
met
Americans.
Americans.
Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope this was informative. I hope you don't feel preached to like we're advising you on how to do your money. We're not. We're telling you the smart or the dumb things that we did. Stay tuned. We got more content coming out about our experiences in Mexico. And then very soon, we're going to have content coming out about our redesign. So please stay tuned. Stay fresh and clean, and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.
See ya.